One of the most profound signs that a woman is emotionally attached to you is when she begins to invest in the world around you, not just you as a person, but the environment you live in, the people you care about, the rhythm of your life. Emotional attachment always reveals itself through quiet integration. And while a casual partner might only be interested in the version of you that shows up on dates, an emotionally connected woman seeks something deeper. She seeks to know the real you and to step gently into the spaces that matter to you. This kind of investment is never loud. It doesn't come with declarations or conditions. Instead, it's in the little things, the questions she asks, the way she listens, the way she remembers. Maybe she asks how your dad's surgery went even if you only mentioned it once in passing. Maybe she remembers the name of your childhood dog, or she brings up that big client presentation you were nervous about 2 weeks ago. These aren't random acts of politeness, they're signs she's emotionally involved. Because when a woman starts to care deeply, she starts to hold on to your world not for her benefit, but because it matters to you. You might notice that she wants to meet your friends not out of curiosity, but because she wants to understand who shapes your life. She may show up to your game, your gallery, your event even when she has no stake in it personally. Why? Because showing up for your world is a way of showing up for you, and emotional attachment always compels us to move beyond the self. It makes us want to participate, to support, to nurture the things that bring someone we care about to life. Think about this. A woman who is emotionally unattached may still enjoy your company. She might laugh with you, spend time with you, even share moments of vulnerability. But when she goes home, she leaves it all behind. There's no emotional residue, no thoughtful follow-up, no desire to stay connected to your journey. She might ask, "How was your day?" but not remember the details of what mattered. She listens but doesn't retain, she smiles but doesn't anchor, but the woman who's emotionally invested, she remembers, she tracks the small victories, she follows the threads of your struggles, she celebrates your wins even when she's not there. And maybe she doesn't always have the right words or always know what to do, but she cares. And caring, real caring, is active, it's curious, it pays attention. Her investment in your world might look like adjusting her schedule to match yours, or staying up just to hear how something went, or sending you a message when she knows you have a tough day ahead, not because she wants praise, but because she's emotionally anchored in your well-being. That's the kind of woman who doesn't just want to be your partner, she wants to be your teammate. And here's the key: when a woman starts to invest in your life, she doesn't necessarily do it to impress you. It's not strategic, it's instinctual, because emotional attachment naturally drives us to give, to serve, to support the people we care about. It's never forced. You'll know it by how easy and natural it feels. She doesn't ask for recognition, she simply gives. Now, if you're the kind of person who's been used to being on your own, this kind of emotional investment can feel overwhelming at first. You might not know how to receive it. You might question it. You might wonder why she cares so much. But that's the thing about emotional attachment. It doesn't always make sense. It just is. And when you recognize it, you realize it's one of the rarest and most beautiful things you'll experience. Someone showing up for you, not because of what you can give, but because of who you are and the life you live. So notice it. Don't overlook the way she stays when you're quiet. Don't dismiss the fact that she asked about your friend who was going through something. Don't minimize the effort she makes to be part of your world, even if it's just sitting quietly with you while you work, or asking how your mom's garden is doing. These are the invisible threads of emotional connection. She doesn't need to change your world. She just wants to walk through it with you, and if that's not emotional attachment, I don't know what is. There's a moment in every deepening connection when the energy changes. The conversations go from fun and surface level to something far more raw, far more honest, and far more revealing. That's when emotional transparency begins to unfold. And when a woman starts to open up to you, not just about what's going right, but about what's unsettled inside of her, her fears, her insecurities, her regrets, and even her unspoken dreams, that's a very real sign she's emotionally attached to you. Not because she has to share those things, but because, for the first time in a long time, she feels safe enough to do so. You need to understand how significant that is. Vulnerability is not a default setting. It's a doorway, and most people don't walk through that door unless they trust the person on the other side. When she begins to tell you things, she doesn't normally say the things that make her voice drop a little lower. The thoughts that carry years of weight, she's letting you into a sacred part of her emotional world. And that's not casual, that's not light, that's a signal, a clear one. It's tempting to think emotional transparency is all about deep, poetic declarations or moments of crying in your arms, but often it's far more subtle than that. It's in the way she admits she's scared about failing at something she deeply cares about. It's the way she tells you about the time someone broke her trust, not because she wants sympathy, but because she wants you to understand why certain things still hurt. It's in the way she shares her dreams with that spark in her eyes, while also quietly doubting whether she's worthy of them. It's in those cracks, those admissions of "I don't always feel enough," that you start to see her most honest self. And here's the truth: emotional transparency is one of the greatest risks we can take in love, because it's not just about what we share, it's about what we expose. When she tells you about the things that keep her up at night, when she admits she still sometimes feels like she's not strong enough or smart enough or lovable enough, she's not doing that for dramatic effect. She's doing it because her emotional attachment to you is overriding her fear of being judged. Think about that for a second. How often do people truly share the things that make them feel weak? Most people are busy performing, showing you their curated self, their highlight reel. But when someone chooses to be real with you, that's when you know it's not just about chemistry anymore. It's about trust. It's about emotional intimacy. You'll know it's happening when she starts saying things like, "I don't usually talk about this," or "I've never told anyone this, but..." Those are clues, and what follows might not be grand, dramatic stories, but small, revealing pieces of her that she's been protecting for years. And the way you respond in those moments matters, because if she's showing you her fears and her flaws, she's not just sharing to get them off her chest. She's testing whether her heart is safe with you, and it's not just about her pain either. Emotional transparency also shows up in the way she tells you what she wants, her hopes, her dreams, the parts of her that are still growing, still reaching. If she starts talking about where she sees herself in the future, what she hopes to build, the kind of love she wants to experience, she's not saying those things to fill the silence. She's saying them because somewhere inside she wants to know if you'll see her in those dreams too. When a woman is emotionally attached, she can't stay in shallow water. She doesn't just want your attention, she wants understanding. She wants to know that when she lets you see her scars, you won't flinch. That when she lets you into her mind, you won't walk away. And most importantly, she wants to know she doesn't have to perform to be loved by you. This kind of openness doesn't happen overnight. It builds in layers. She might start by sharing something light, then gradually open deeper layers over time. But every new thing she tells you, every vulnerable truth she hands over, is like a small key, a key to her inner world. And if you hold that key with respect, if you respond with presence, patience, and acceptance, the connection between you will deepen in a way that physical chemistry never could. Because here's the thing, anyone can get close to someone's body. But not everyone gets invited into their soul. When she becomes emotionally transparent with you, when her walls lower and her truth rises, that's her heart saying, I trust you. I believe you can handle this. I believe you can hold me. And that is not to be taken lightly. If you see her doing this, if she's peeling back the layers, if she's speaking to you from that honest, scared, yet hopeful place, don't brush it off. Don't change the subject. Don't make it about fixing her. Just see her, let her be unfiltered, let her be real, because when a woman gives you that kind of emotional transparency, she's giving you something rare, something sacred. She's giving you the truth of her. There's a kind of communication that doesn't rely on grand speeches or dramatic moments. It lives in the quiet spaces in between the louder parts of connection. It's not always spoken, but it's deeply felt. These are what psychologists often call emotional bids, small, seemingly insignificant attempts to connect, to reach across the emotional space between two people and say, I'm here, do you see me? And when a woman is emotionally attached to you, these emotional bids start showing up more often, not because she needs constant attention, but because she's building a bridge, one moment at a time. Emotional bids are often overlooked because they don't always come with clarity. Sometimes they look like a simple text, "How was your day?" or a quiet observation, "You seem off today, everything okay?" Other times, it's something as small as her sending you a meme that reminded her of a conversation you had, or asking if you made it home safely after a long drive. On the surface, it's easy to miss these gestures. But if you're paying attention, you'll realize they are all signs of someone who's emotionally invested, someone who is making the effort to stay connected to you, even in the in-between moments. This is the heart of emotional attachment. It's not always about the intensity of passion, it's about the consistency of care. It's about a woman who doesn't just show up when it's convenient or when she wants something, but someone who is subtly, quietly, yet steadily reaching for you throughout the day, in ways that let you know you're on her mind. Her emotional bids are invitations. They are soft doors left slightly open, saying, "Come closer if you want to." And here's the truth. Most people don't even realize how often they dismiss these bids. You might get used to them. You might respond with a quick emoji or a distracted yeah. But what you're not seeing is that each one of those little gestures is her way of maintaining closeness, of saying, "I still care. I still want to be part of your world." A woman who's emotionally detached doesn't make those bids. She doesn't try to maintain that connection. But a woman who's emotionally attached, she notices when you've had a long day. She remembers what matters to you. She keeps reaching not out of desperation, but out of affection. And it's not just about digital communication or words. These bids show up physically, too. It might be her reaching for your hand when you're walking, even in silence. It might be her leaning into you during a movie, not saying anything, but simply wanting to be near. It might be the way she touches your shoulder when she passes you, or how she lingers in a hug just a second longer than necessary. These are not grand romantic gestures. They are micro moments of connection, and in emotional relationships, micro moments mean everything. It takes emotional maturity to recognize these things, to see the emotional value in a morning "good luck" message before your meeting, or the check-in after a difficult conversation with your family. These moments are her way of saying, "I'm here for you," even when she's not physically present. They're proof that your emotional state matters to her, that your world is something she wants to be attuned to, even if you're not always ready to talk about it. The beautiful thing is that when emotional bids are consistently made and reciprocated, they form the foundation of trust and safety. It's not about having the deepest talks every night. It's about building a rhythm of togetherness where both people feel seen, valued, and emotionally supported, not just when things are going wrong, but on the good days too. When she's emotionally attached, she won't stop showing up for that rhythm. Even when you're distant, even when life gets chaotic, Her consistency becomes the quiet heartbeat of your connection. What often goes unnoticed is how brave these bids are. They may not look like vulnerability, but they are. Every time she reaches out, even in the smallest way, she's risking rejection. She's hoping you'll meet her halfway. And when you respond with presence instead of passivity, you reinforce something powerful, that she's not alone in her emotional investment, that her care is safe with you, so pay attention. The next time she sends you something small, or checks in without needing a reason, or shares a quiet moment with you without asking for anything, see that for what it is. Not a routine, not background noise, but a real and tender signal of her emotional attachment, because love doesn't always arrive with fireworks. Sometimes it shows up in a simple question, a glance, a soft gesture, a quiet moment she wanted to share with you. Those are the moments that matter most, not the ones everyone notices, but the ones that only you two feel. And when a woman is making those moments happen again and again, she's not just interested, she's attached. She's choosing you daily in 100 small, invisible ways. There's a kind of concern that doesn't wait for the breakdown. It doesn't appear only when the tears start or when something's visibly wrong. It's quieter, more intuitive, and often shows up when nothing looks wrong on the surface, but something feels off. And when a woman is emotionally attached to you, her care isn't reactive, it's preemptive. She doesn't just step in when you fall apart, she leans in when you go quiet. That subtle silence you carry, she hears it, she feels it, and she doesn't ignore it. Most people miss this part of connection. They think care only matters when there's an obvious crisis, but real emotional investment is revealed in how someone responds when the signs are invisible, when the pain is hidden behind smiles, and the fatigue is masked with routine. And when you go silent, when you withdraw into that internal space where you process, overthink, or protect your heart, a woman who's emotionally attached doesn't just walk away and give you space indefinitely. She notices the shift and she comes closer, not to pressure you to talk, but to let you know you're seen, even when you're not saying a word. This is where emotional maturity becomes a kind of superpower. Because silence doesn't always mean distance. Sometimes silence means, I don't know how to say what I'm feeling. Sometimes it means, I don't want to burden anyone. And sometimes it's, I've learned to keep it all inside because no one really notices anyway. But when she cares deeply, when she's emotionally tied to you, she doesn't wait for you to spell it out. She checks in, even if you haven't given her a reason to. She asks questions that matter. You've been quiet, are you okay? Or sometimes she won't say anything at all. She'll just stay close, present, making it easier for you to come out when you're ready. And that, right there, is rare. Because most people only show up for the obvious moments, the celebrations, the breakdowns, the black and white stuff. But the gray space, the emotional in-between where you're still figuring things out, that's when many people disappear, but not her, not when she's emotionally invested. That's when she becomes more sensitive to your emotional rhythm. She listens to your pauses, your tone, your absence, and she doesn't need a long explanation to care. Her concern doesn't come from a place of control. She's not trying to fix you or dig answers out of you. She simply wants to be there, to be a grounding presence while you navigate your storm, even if you're not ready to share the weather report. That's emotional empathy. That's emotional intelligence. That's love showing up without an agenda. And here's the thing, when you've been alone with your emotions for most of your life, this kind of presence can feel unfamiliar. You might be used to people only caring when you break. You might have been taught to bottle things up because no one ever truly held space for your silence. So when she starts showing concern for what you don't say, it might trigger discomfort. You might instinctively push it away or tell her, I'm fine. But if you look closely, you'll realize something. She's not doing this to invade your space. She's doing it because she respects your emotional world enough to not ignore it. And that level of concern doesn't come from nowhere. It comes from emotional attachment. It comes from paying attention. It comes from genuinely knowing you, the way your eyes shift when something's bothering you, the way your replies get shorter when you're overwhelmed, the way your voice drops slightly when you're pretending you're okay. She's not guessing, she knows, because she's emotionally tuned into you. Sometimes she'll offer to listen, other times she'll just sit with you. She won't always try to make it better, because deep down she understands that sometimes the best thing she can do is just be there. She holds space, not pressure, and even if you stay quiet, her presence says, "You don't have to carry this alone. I'm here even in your silence." That's a powerful form of connection, one that doesn't demand performance, explanation, or emotional labor from you. It's love in its purest form, presence, and when you realize that she doesn't just care about how you perform emotionally, but about how you are, even when you're distant, you'll know she's not just in this for the highs. She's here for the lows, the quiet spells, the long pauses. She's emotionally attached to you, the real you. So if you're ever unsure about how deeply a woman feels, watch how she responds when you go silent. If she leans in gently, if she checks in without pushing, if she cares without needing to be told, that's emotional depth. That's commitment without obligation. That's love that listens to what you're not saying. And that kind of love, that kind of concern, is the kind that doesn't fade. It's not circumstantial, it's rooted, it's steady, and it's real. When a woman is emotionally attached to you, one of the most powerful shifts happens not in what she says, but in how she moves. You begin to feel it in the decisions she makes, the subtle way her life starts to stretch in your direction. She doesn't need to declare, "You're my future." She just begins to act like it. Not out of desperation, not because she's losing herself, but because in her heart she's quietly making space for you in her world, in her plans, and in the path she's beginning to carve out. Most people imagine future, building conversations as formal moments, a talk over dinner about where things are headed, or a deep heart-to-heart about long-term goals. But emotional attachment often reveals itself long before those conversations ever happen. It lives in the way she considers your schedule when she's making her own. It shows up when she starts saving you a seat in plans that haven't even been fully formed yet. She starts to think in we, even if she hasn't said the word aloud. You'll notice it in her weekend plans. She doesn't just tell you what she's doing, she asks if you're free, or suggests doing something together without making it feel like an obligation. You'll see it in the way she talks about the future, how she mentions a concert that's months away and says, "We should go," or talks about traveling somewhere and casually includes you in the mental itinerary. She's not pressing, she's not locking you down, she's simply showing you in smallest and most meaningful ways that she sees you there, in her tomorrow. That's the quiet, beautiful truth of emotional attachment. It turns possibility into intention, and even if she hasn't said it out loud, her actions begin to reveal that her life isn't just about her anymore. She starts to prioritize in a way that leaves room for you emotionally, logistically, and energetically. And that doesn't mean she abandons her independence or gives up her dreams. On the contrary, it means she's integrating you into those dreams. There's a kind of grace in that. She's not forcing connection, and she's not clinging to it. She's simply operating from a place of belief that what the two of you are building has substance, depth, and potential. And when she believes that, she starts planning as if this is a story worth continuing. It's in the details, when she's looking at apartments and casually says, "There's space here for two," or when she's meal prepping and makes enough for you two, even if you didn't ask. It's the way she checks in about holidays or invites you into family moments, not because she's making a declaration, but because you matter now. And people who matter don't get left on the outside, and maybe the most telling part of it all is how she begins to adjust her emotional boundaries to accommodate the life you're part of. If she was once fiercely guarded about her time, she now makes time not out of duty but desire. If she once Traveled solo without a second thought, she now wonders what it would feel like to have you beside her. Even her goals start to shift slightly, not in compromise, but in consideration. She doesn't give anything up. She simply begins to dream with room for both of you in the picture. And here's something important to understand. This kind of alignment can't be faked. It's not a tactic. It's not something you can rehearse or manipulate. It's organic. It grows out of emotional safety, trust, and time. She's not doing these things to get something from you. She's doing them because her heart has placed value on what the two of you are sharing, because the future to her no longer looks as full without you in it. It's subtle, but it's steady. She starts asking questions that have a little more depth, makes decisions that feel a little more inclusive, and sees the future not as something she needs to control, but as something she'd rather experience with you. And when a woman reaches that place emotionally, it's not because she needs you to complete her. It's because she sees you as a companion on the path she's already walking. That's the highest form of emotional attachment, not dependence, but integration. Not claiming ownership of each other's future, but choosing each other again and again as that future unfolds. And when you begin to notice that she's moving in that direction, with you in mind, that's not just affection. That's not just attraction. That's a kind of love that's been quietly preparing room for you all along.